Hello 10th class, how are you? Hope all of you are fit as well as fun. Now today we are going to start chapter number 3, that is metal and non-metal. As we have seen some syllabus reduced from your 10th class, so in this chapter metal and non-metal, we are going to learn physical as well as chemical property of metal, non-metal, then their uses, and last one, the formation as well as their application, physical property of ionic compound. That much is there in your syllabus. So let's start chapter number 3, that is the metal and non-metal. Now before starting this chapter, let us recall your memory because in your lower classes you might be learned about this chapter, metal and non-metal. Now metals, day-to-day life we are using, such as aluminum, copper, zinc. These are the some metals we are using day-to-day life. Then iron is most widely useful because it's very hard substance, hard metal. So we are using for construction purpose, for making buildings as well as bridges, different machinery parts we are using iron. Then some non-metals, oxygen. Without oxygen we cannot survive. Then phosphorus in matchsticks, nitrogen, sulfur act as a antiseptic cream. In different type of antiseptic cream they are using sulfur. Nitrogen is good for fertility. Even in our chromosomes nitrogen is there. Anyway, our body different type of metals as well as non-metal present. Let us see about the metals. Which metals are present in your body? Taking the example, iron is present in our body, calcium, magnesium, zinc. These are the metals which are present in our body and we are getting from different type of minerals as well as minerals from food items. Some non-metals are also present in our body, such as the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen. These are the some non-metals, phosphorus. All these are the non-metals which are present in our living organism body. So let's start this chapter, metal and non-metal. Now, how you define this term metal? And how you define this term non-metal? So let's start about the definition. Metals are those elements which are malleable as well as ductile in nature. They are good conductor of electricity. Second definition we can give here based on electronic configuration that I will explain you afterwards. Non-metals are those elements which is bad conductor of heat and electricity and they are non-malleable and non-ductile in nature. Likewise, we have to give this definition. Metals or non-metals, here we will start about their physical property. So let us learn their physical property of metal. Now one by one we are learning here. That is the first physical property. Let us take as a physical state. How they exist, metal or non-metal. How they exist. Generally, all the metals, exceptional case mercury. All the metals they exist in solid state except mercury. At room temperature, all the metals they exist in solid state. One of the metals, that is a mercury. It exists in a liquid state. But some of the metals, their melting point we will discuss here. Melting point is low, but gallium and cesium, they exist in solid state. But as such, we take on our palm, they start melting. So these type of metals also there. Now before going to this another property for this non-metal, how many metals are there in periodic table? 118 elements are there. Actually, this element, compound and mixture you have learned in 9th class. So from that, 80% are metals and remaining 20% are what? Non-metal. So 80% are what? Metal, and remaining these 20% are what? Non-metal. So from this 80%, 90% once again we are getting from the nature in combined state, and remaining 20%, remaining 10% artificially made in industry. So these type of elements we are getting from the earth crust layer, and that can be divided into metal, non-metal as well as the semi-metal. Now let us continue this property. First property, as we have seen, existence of a metal generally in solid state except mercury. But the non-metals, they exist in all the three states: solid, liquid as well as gas. Solid, few examples I have given: carbon, phosphorus, they exist in solid state. Symbolic representation I have given: carbon means C, phosphorus means P. Now liquid, only one of the non-metal exists in liquid state, that is the bromine. Gaseous state, nitrogen, oxygen, all these are what? Non-metal, they exist in gaseous state. So there are different type of non-metal, they exist in different states. Carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, they are in solid state. Only one of the non-metal, bromine, exists in liquid state, and remaining most probably they exist in gaseous state. Now let us start another property, physical property of this non-metal. Second property, let us see about the density. Now most of the metals are dense in nature. Their density is what? High density. Once again, here also some exceptional cases you will learn here. Sodium, potassium and calcium. These are what? Low dense substance. Sodium, potassium, they are more reactive metal. That's why they kept in kerosene. They are soft in nature, they can be cut with the knife. Now, next here, let us see about the non-metal. Density of non-metal is what? Generally low density. All the non-metal, they have in low density. Once again, except the cases is what? Diamond. Here also we can say diamond, the density is what? High. Exceptional case will be their diamond. Density means what? Mass per volume. So generally all the metals, they are quite dense because their mass is small. But here calcium, sodium, potassium, aluminum, some of that their light weight is there, because of that their density is low. Now next, that is the third physical property is hardness. Now when we say about the metals, generally all the metals, they are hard in nature. Exceptional cases, sodium and potassium. Already I discussed you, sodium and potassium, they are soft in nature. They look like a cake and we can cut with knife. So sodium, potassium are highly reactive metals. That's why they get kerosene. They are soft in nature. So these exceptional cases, generally all the metals are what? Hard in nature. Now about non-metal. Non-metals are what? Soft in nature. Once again, exceptional cases is what? Diamond. Now, diamond is what? One form of a carbon atom. Carbon is what? Non-metal. It's allotropic form that we will learn in fourth chapter. Diamond, fullerene as well as graphite. These are the different form of a carbon. So one form of a carbon, diamond, is what? Hard in nature. Remaining all the non-metals are what? Quite soft in nature. So these are the some physical properties. Now number fourth one, conductivity. Let us see about the conductivity of metals. Metals are what? Good conductor of heat as well as electricity. Generally, all the metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. We are saying silver is what? Very good conductor of electricity. But we are not using for electrical purpose because it's quite costly. That's why in cable connection, in that electrical connection, copper is used. Copper wires are useful. Then next one, electrical conductivity of iron, lead as well as mercury is what quite low compared to other metals. So if we are saying good conductor of electricity, in that we are considering as a silver. Then poor conductor or very weak conductor of electricity is what? Lead as well as mercury. Now next one about this non-metal. Non-metal are generally poor conductor of heat as well as electricity. Exceptional cases poor conductor. Now here graphite, one form of a carbon atom, it is a good conductor of electricity. That's why in different electrolytic cases we are using graphite electrode for heating purpose, because it is a good conductor of electricity. One free electron is present in outer shell, that's why graphite is called good conductor of electricity. While in case of diamond, it is good conductor of heat but bad conductor of electricity. Now next one, let us see about your malleability and ductility. Now what do you mean by malleability? Malleability is a process where metal can be hammered and thin sheet can be formed from it. That process is known as malleability. So here, generally we are saying usually metals are what? Malleable in nature. Malleable means what? When we hammer any metal, from that we can get a thin sheet. That property is known as malleability. So most probably all the metals, they are malleable in nature. Exceptional cases, once again, sodium, potassium, we are saying they are non-malleable. The same way, but here, if we take the example of a non-metal are non-malleable in nature. That means what? They are brittle in nature. If you take the sample of carbon, if you hammer it, you will not get thin strips from carbon, but we will get the carbon powder from it. That's why we are saying that they are brittle in nature. Generally, non-metals are brittle in nature, they are non-malleable. Now, because of malleability, we are using thin strips of aluminum nowadays widely used for keeping it food items hot for longer time. That's why we are using this aluminum foil. Different medicinal strips, that is also made up of this aluminum. So this way they can use for different purpose. Aluminum foil, copper foil, for different purpose they are using it. But what are they? They are malleable. So mostly metals are malleable as well as ductile. Now ductility means what? Let us learn about ductility. Ductility means what? Those process. Ductility is the name of that process where thin wire can be drawn from the metal. So ductility is a process where thin wires can be drawn from that metal. That process is known as the ductility. Now silver, gold is most ductile in nature. Ductility of gold is maximum. Even we are saying 1 gram of gold can be drawn into a thin wire near about 2 kilometers away from it. That means what? If you are taking small 1 gram of gold, from that one can make 2 kilometers thin wire from it. That much ductility of gold is there. Likewise, silver also ductility is more. But generally we are not using silver wire for electrical purpose. Even all the metals are ductile in nature. Copper wire, thin copper wire we are using for electrical purposes. For electrical connection, we are using copper wire because it is ductile in nature. So aluminum, copper, silver, gold. So these are more ductile as well as malleable in nature. So ductility means what? The process where thin wires can be drawn from the metal. Now let us learn about this one. Ductility of non-metals. So non-metals are what? They are non-brittle in nature That means what? Non-malleable as well as non-ductile. One cannot be drawn thin wires from non-metal. If you take the sulfur or if you take the phosphorus or carbon, if you want to draw thin wire, one cannot draw the thin wire from it. That's why we are saying they are brittle in nature. They form powdery substance if you apply hammer, or if you want to draw that thin wire, one cannot make it. So they are brittle in nature, are non-malleable as well as non-ductile in nature. Now next, that property we are saying MP means what? Melting point, and BP means what? Boiling point. So melting point and boiling point for these metals are what? High. Generally all the metals, their melting point and boiling point is what? Very high. While in case of non-metals, their melting point as well as boiling point is what? Low, except diamond. Diamond, its melting point is too high. Okay, it's very hard substance, very rigid substance. That's why its melting point is very high. Remaining all the non-metals, their melting point, boiling point is what? Low. Next physical property, that is the luster. Luster means what? Shiny surface. Now if you take about the metals, they are lustrous in nature. They having shiny as well as smooth surface. Because of that shiny surface, silver, gold, platinum, these type of metals we are using for making different type of ornaments. Now non-metals, they are non-lustrous. Exceptional cases, diamonds as well as iodine. Non-metals are what? Non-lustrous. Once again, diamond is what? Too lustrous, is what? Too shiny surface. Compared to metal also we are saying diamond is what? Highly polished as well as highly shiny surface. Even iodine also is lustrous in nature. So these two non-metal, exceptional cases, remaining all the non-metals are what? Non-lustrous. That means what? They having not shiny surface, they show the rough surface. Another, there are so many physical properties, that means tensile strength, that I have not written here, but if you want to write the tensile strength, that means holding capacity of metal. The holding capacity of metal is high. Tensile strength for this metal is what? High. You can hold the things inside this metal. But these non-metals, their tensile strength is what? Low, because they are brittle in nature. So one cannot hold the things inside this non-metal. So holding capacity of metal is what? Very, very high. That's why for the construction purpose, for making the big bridges, roads, as well as big buildings, generally and machinery parts, they are using metal. So there are wide variety of uses for metal as well as non-metal in day-to-day life. We will learn afterwards. So here we have discussed few properties, physical properties regarding this metal and non-metal. Now based on physical property, they will ask you some reasons. Now why silver and gold used for jewelry purpose? Why? Because of luster in nature. Okay? Why this one? Mercury used in thermometer. Because it is what? Poor conductor of heat. But is one of that substance, one of that metal which shows that the proper hotness or coolness of our body temperature. That's why it is used. So all these are the some physical property. Based on that, they will ask you different type of questions. So here you have to remember the physical as well as the property of metal and non-metal. Now as such, I have given this definition of this metal and non-metal. Now let us define this metal and non-metal in some another way. How one can define based on electronic configuration this metal and non-metal. Metal और non-metal को define करने का हो तो electronic configuration के बेस पे हम लोग कैसे define करेंगे? So let us start here. Metals are those elements in which outer shell containing 1, 2 or 3 electrons. Those elements whose outer shell contains either 1, 2 or 3 electrons are called metal, or valence shell containing 1, 2 or 3 electrons are called metal. Now let us learn about this non-metal. Non-metals are those elements whose outer shell containing 5, 6 or 7 electrons. That type of element are called non-metal. That means what? If the valence shell containing 1, 2, 3 electrons, then we are considering as a metal. If valence shell containing 5, 6, 7 electrons, then we are considering as a non-metal. If valence shell containing that 4 electrons, valence shell means what? Outer shell. That you have learned in your 9th class. If outer shell containing 4 electrons, that is what? It acts as a semi-metal. So here we are saying about this metal and non-metal. Now here I have written some examples of metal as well as non-metal. Last year you have learned up to 1 to 20 atomic number, their symbolic representation and electronic configuration. Based on that I want to explain here this metals as well as non-metal. Now sodium, its atomic number is what? 11. So its electronic configuration, that means what? Systematic arrangement of the electron in different shapes is called their electronic configuration. So as you know that first shell maximum 2 electrons, second shell is 8, third 18, 32, like that way we have already done. So here I have written 2, 8, 1, that is the electronic configuration. EC means what? Electronic configuration of this sodium metal. Outer shell containing 1 electron. Now then next atomic number is what? Magnesium. Magnesium is the electronic configuration is what? 2, 8, 2. Its atomic number is 12. So 2, 8, 2. Total number of electrons is what? 12. Outer shell containing 2 electrons. That's why it is the metal. Then next one, 13 atomic number aluminum. Earlier I said like you have fixed roll number given in your class. The same way in periodic table is made based on their atomic number. Model periodic table containing 118 elements and their atomic number is what? Fixed. So according to atomic number we have written here electronic configuration. So here aluminum, its atomic number is what? 13. So its electronic configuration 2, 8, 3. Now likewise here 14 silicon, its atomic number is 14. Electronic configuration 2, 8, 4. That is outer shell containing 4 electrons. Now these are we are saying as a metal. All these are known as the metal. Now while here 15 atomic number phosphorus, outer shell containing 5 electrons, 2, 8, 1. First shell K, 2 electrons are there. Second shell L containing 8 electrons. Third shell containing 5 electrons, that is the M shell. Now outer shell containing 5 electrons. That's why it is a non-metal. That means what? In order to complete their octet, it always try to accept 3 electrons from metal. Take the 3 electrons from the metal and it completes the octet. That's why it acts as a non-metal. Now 16 atomic number sulfur is here. Another non-metal. It's a electronic configuration 2, 8, 6. Outer shell containing 6 electrons. So in order to complete its octet, it requires 2 more electrons. Octet means what? Outer shell containing 8 electrons, then its octet, outer valence shell is completed. That means what? In order to complete its outer shell, sulfur needs 2 more electrons. That's why always sulfur valency we are writing -2. Phosphorus Valence we are writing 3. Minus 3. Minus symbolic sign is whether it is a cation or anion. Cation showing positive sign, anion showing negative sign. So sulfur always writing 2. 2 but minus 2. Why? Because it has taken, sulfur has taken 2 electrons from other element. It has the tendency to accept the electron, to get the electron from some other element. Now next one, chlorine. Its atomic number is 17. Its electronic configuration 287. So in order to complete its octet, chlorine always take 1 electron from other shade. That means what? These 5, 6, 7, if it is electron are present in outer shell, they act as a anion, that means what? A negative ion, and act as a non-metal. And these 11, 12 and 13 atomic number is their outer shell containing 1, 2, 3 electrons. They are act as a metal. So this one is a metal, these are the non-metal. So here we have learned metals are what? Cations. They have tendency to donate this extra electron present in their outer shell. While these non-metals, they have tendency to accept 3, 2 as well as 1 electron from their neighborhood, and they form a negative ion. That is the reason we are writing for sodium, we are writing if they donate 1 electron to other element. So sodium, it forms a sodium plus ion. That's why we are always writing N plus 1. Plus 1 means what? Sodium has tendency to donate 1 electron. If electron get lost from it, that means what? Increase the cation. That's why these metals are known as the electropositive in nature. Same way magnesium. Its outer shell containing 2 electrons. So it has tendency to donate 2 electrons from their outer shell. That's why it forms Mg plus 2. Same way aluminum, it forms Al plus 3. So they have tendency to, aluminum has tendency to lose 3 electrons from their outer shell. So all the metals are what? Electropositive in nature. Let us see about this non-metal. Non-metals are known as electronegative in nature. Why we are saying they are electronegative in nature? Because they never lose this 5, 6, 7 electrons from outer shell, but they try to accept because they need large amount of energy to donate this type of electron. That's why they try to accept electrons from other elements and they form an anion. That means what? If we are saying chlorine, chlorine outer shell containing 7 electrons. So it accepts 1 electron from other neighborhood and form a chloride ion. The same way here, if we say sulfur, sulfur form -2 ion. Why? Because sulfur outer shell containing 6 electrons. It has tendency to accept 2 electrons from other element and form S- sulfide ion. So chloride ion, sulfide ion. Here sodium ion, magnesium ion. So what we have concluded from this one? Remember, metals are what? Electropositive in nature. While non-metals, these are non-metals, are what? Electronegative in nature. Non-metals are what? Electronegative in nature. Metals are electropositive in nature. Is it clear? So here we have completed physical property of metal and non-metal. What we are saying? Metals are electropositive in nature and non-metals are electronegative in nature. Behind that reason, just now I explained you. Because of electropositive in nature, because in outer shell, if 1, 2, 3 electrons are there, so they have tendency to donate these electrons to other elements. And they donate this electron. Electron means what? A negative charge. Once the negative charge gone from that element, they increase the positive charge. That's why we are writing sodium is the what? +1. Magnesium is what? +2. 2 electron donated by magnesium. That's why it forms Mg +2. So they are electropositive, and these are the non-metal. They are electronegative because they have tendency to accept the electron, and they form the, if electron increase in outermost shell, that means what? A negative charge increase. Electron means what? A negative charge, and they form anion. That's why these non-metals are known as the anion and electronegative in nature. So here we have successfully completed this physical property of metal as well as non-metal. Now after this we will learn about their chemical properties. So remember here, metals, non-metal physical property, their chemical property, and second thing is what? Ionic bond formation, their physical property, how this bond formation take place, and physical property of ionic compound. That much is there in your syllabus, third chapter. Now ores, minerals, and extraction of metals from their ores, that is reduced, means that is skipped by that CPSC syllabus. So don't bother about it. Whatever the things we are explaining there, that much is there in your syllabus. Okay students, take care of your health. Nowadays corona cases day by day increase. So don't move here and there, don't roam surrounding areas. Take care of your health.